The more I study neuroscience and the more I practice meditation, the more I realize something interesting. Ancient yogis were describing the nervous system just without using scientific language. Hello, everyone. This is Cesar, and welcome back to the Older Brother. Today, we're going to have a very nice session. We're going to go through very different foundations that are very useful for meditation, for understanding the neuroscience of meditations. Then we're gonna go through the like some yogi knowledge, the basic knowledge that we need to know when we practice meditation. Then we jump into neuroscience and see if neuroscience is similar to what the ancient yogis were trying to say to us. And yeah, I would like to uh, build a bridge between ancient wisdom and neuroscience, because at the end, it seems like they were describing the same human system, but with a different language. So let's start. Let's start with this. What yogis knew about the nervous system versus what neuroscience reveals is what we're talking about. But first, we need to start with some foundations. We need to start from zero. If we are new in meditation, or if we start in this journey, or probably we know many things, but we still want to double check how is everything going in our understanding, I think this video is gonna be useful. So let's start with some basic concepts and foundations when we talk about meditation and neuroscience. So the first that we need to understand is the nervous system. And the nervous system is the body's communication network. It's a complex system of neurons that are using electrical impulses and chemical signals to coordinate our body and our brain. This is important because the nervous system defines how you experience the world, how you experience stress, how you experience calm, and how you experience awareness. So one of the main components of the nervous system is the brain. The brain is the control center of the body, and it processes sensory inputs. It predicts outcomes, regulates behavior and internal states. And this is important because just your perception of reality is constructed in your brain, is specifically there. When we talk about the nervous system, one thing we need to understand is the autonomic nervous system. That is one of the main components as well of our nervous system. It is the one that controls the automatic regulations of our system. So it maintains the internal balance by regulating the heart rate, the breathing, the digestion, and the stress responses. Like, let's stop here for a second. Do you know who was breathing for you during the last 2 hours? Where probably you weren't conscious all the time of your breathing. So you know that this your autonomic nervous system, the one that is in charge of that. And it determines whether you feel safe or you feel under threat. And then it controls and plays with your heart with your breathing, digestion, and your responses. Inside the autonomic nervous system, we have two different branches. So, one is the sympathetic system. It is in charge of the action, the stress mode response, and basically it activates the fight or flight response. It increases our heart rate and mobilizes energy via adrenaline and noradrenaline. So it's very useful for us, this system, in short-term responses. When we experience that something can be harmful or danger, it injects that short-term response so we can survive. But when it's activated for long, it becomes like not balanced and probably bringing some bad consequences for us. So the other part, or the counterpart of the sympathetic system, is the parasympathetic nervous system. It is in charge of the recovery, the calm mode, and basically it promotes the rest, digestion, repair, and energy conservation of our body. So it is very essential when we need to heal, when we need clarity, when we need emotional stability. So there is the sympathetic, the parasympathetic. One is action, the other one is calm, and they need to be balanced. And then we have inside our parasympathetic, and very useful for this system, the vagus nerve. So it is one of the biggest nerves in our body, and it connects our brain with our body, and it is like a regulation pathway. So it connects basically our brainstem to our heart, lungs, our gut, and it's the key pathway to consciously influence calm states. So if we need to feel calm, we need to activate our vagus nerve. And then another basic thing, another concept that we need to understand is the breath. That is, as you say, as part of the autonomic nervous system. It's automatic, but we also can control it if we are conscious. And it's basically our better and most accessible tool to regulate our internal state. Like, be conscious of our breathing is very important when we want to balance our system, our heart rate, when we want to have a very healthy nervous system. So, okay, we already know these basic definitions. Now we're gonna jump into the yogic model, the yogic mindset. So this is more from science. Now we go into the science of meditation, the science that the yogis brought for us, and the yoga masters and meditation masters, all that ancient wisdom. So for this, I'm gonna bring some concepts that I found in a book that I really like. The name is Kriya Yoga, the scientific process of soul culture and the essence of all religions, by Paramahamsa Hari Harananda. It's a very nice book when we want to learn and practice many things about meditation. So now we're going to start with one of the key concepts that the yogis brought when we talk about meditation, and it's prana. If we practice yoga meditation, we always hear prana. So, what is prana? According to Hariharananda, the prana is the life force, is the vital breath, is the uh, responsible for the process of absorption and is metaphorically exhalation. So, very much it represents the felt sense of vitality linked with breathing, the metabolic activity, and the bioelectrical processes. So, in modern terms, it overlaps with respiration, with energy, with metabolism, and nervous system regulation through breath rhythms. And this is important to clarify that it's not just the oxygen alone, it is an experiential and functional concept related more with the life force. Obviously, when we breathe, we are activating a process that sustains life in us. And as we get the oxygen inside our system, we can feel the life, the force. So prana is related to that uh, energy, to that vitality. So if you don't have prana, you are not alive. That's the first concept. Then we have the nadis. The nadis are like the pranic channel in the spine. They are energy channels through which the vital force flows in the subtle body. So it can be understood as maps of internal communication, similar to how we describe the neural pathways, like the inter interoceptive signaling and body-wide coordination system. So it's not, when we talk about that from the yogic perspective, we are not talking about anatomical structures like nerves, but they are like energy channels that conducts the vital force that flows in the subtle body. Then we have three concepts that are very similar one to each other. The name of the first one is Ida, then we have Pingala, and we have Shushuma. For me, these three are more graphic ones because always that I saw a drawing of these components, Ida, Pingala, Shushuma, they are represented on the spine, all along the spine. In the central part of the spine, we have Shushuma. And then we have on one side Ida and the other side Pingala. And in some ancient traditions, I can represent that, like when the movement of the energy is going up to the spine. So we have Ida and Pingala moving around the central, that is Shushuma. If we want to define that, according with Harihanananda, Ida is a pranic channel on the left side of the Shushuma, in which the vital air passes through. So Ida corresponds with the tamasic quality of nature. It's associated with inward, with cooling, stabilizing process, like functionally comparable with the parasympathetic dominance. So um, is more a pranic channel that is in charge of the calm mode. So that's the attribute of Ida. Then Pingala is the pranic channel on the right side of Sushumna, in which the vital air passes through, and it corresponds to the Rajastic quality of nature. So this one is linked to activation, outward focus, energy mobilization. And we can compare this with the sympathetic nervous system. So Pingala is the energy that is more active, is more the, the sympathetic nervous system. So we have Ida, Pingala, and then we have Shushubna, that is the central pranic channel that is in between both, which extends from the bottom of the spine up to the fontanelle. So all the way up to the fontanelle. And it represents the integration and balance, a regulated state where both activation and calm coexist, enabling sustained awareness without any overload. It's not the spinal cord, but is energetic channel. And we can represent that. And when I think about these three concepts, I think about the symbol when, we have the stick as a spine and the two energies rising up, Ida and Pingala. And the Shushuma representing the central part that brings balance inside or in between calmness and activity. Then we have another term from the yogic perspective. The name is pranayama. And basically is the control and regulation of the vital energy and the breath. It's a special, also referred to special breathing techniques. And this pranayama has like a modern interpretation, and it can be interpreted as a direct influence over physiological state via controlled breathing patterns. So with pranayama, we can affect our vagal tone, our heart rate variability, and our autonomic balance. So it's not just breathing mechanisms, it includes awareness and timing. It's the control and regulation of our breath, pranayama. And then we have dhyana, that is meditation, concentration. It's when we sustain attention and awareness that leads to reduce mental fluctuation, improve regulation, and when we can measure changes in brain function. So, dhyana, meditation concentration, from the yogic perspective, is not simply relaxation or passive thinking. It includes a state of awareness, consciousness, when we reduce the mental activity and fluctuation. So basically, we have the foundations, then we have the yogi model concepts, and now we have some ingredients from the modern neuroscience and some concepts that we can clarify or mention here are some like neuroplasticity. What it means? the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connection based on experience and repeat behavior. So when we have neuroplasticity, and then on the other hand, we practice meditation, we know that meditation strengthens the pathways related to attention, emotional regulation, and self awareness. So, through meditation, our mental patterns can be modified, as we know, thanks to neuroplasticity, that our mental patterns are not fixed, they can be trained. So, we can just slowly change the ways of the connections of our brain through meditation. So we can probably claim back attention, emotional regulation, and be more aware. Then we have another concept that is amygdala, and is a limbic system structure involved in detecting threat and triggering fear or stress responses. So, what meditation does? Meditation or regular meditation practices reduces the baseline reactivity and volume activity in the amygdala. So you become less reactive to stressors. Then we have the prefrontal cortex, that is the region responsible for executive functions, decision making, attention, impulse control, and self awareness. Meditation increases activation and functional connectivity in this region, in the prefrontal cortex. So it improves clarity, discipline, and conscious response. We have another concept that is cortisol. Cortisol is the primary stress hormone that is released during perceived threat. Meditation lowers the baseline cortisol levels over time, and it reduces chronic stress load on the body. Then we have the heart rate variability. It's measure of variation between heart rates, indicating flexibility of the nervous system. Meditation and slow breathing increase the heart rate variability. So when we have a higher heart rate variability, it's the better we can adapt and be resilient. Another important concept is the vagal tone, that is the functional efficiency of the vagus nerve in regulating the parasympathetic responses. So, as we talked before, meditation improves the vagal tone through breath and attention. It brings faster recovery from stress, more stable emotional states. And the last concept we need to define here is the default mode network. It's the brain network active during mind wandering, self-referential thinking, and rumination. When we overthink, when we are like worried, when we have stress. So meditation reduces the overactivity and the default mode network. Less overthinking, more present awareness. And here we go. After we got the foundations, then the definition of the yogi model and some other neuroscience expanded definitions, now we can build a bridge. We can bring a bridge in between the yogic insight and the scientific parallel. So when we talk about the yogic perspective, we always see that one of the insights is control the breath, control the mind. And basically, when we say that in scientific parallel, it means like the breath regulates the vagus nerve, it activates the vagus nerve and activate the autonomic nervous system balance. So what it means practically, by slowing and controlling our breath, we directly shift our physiological state from stress to calm without needing to change any external circumstances. Just controlling our breath, we can control our mind. And basically, our body is designed for that. We have our nervous system helping us for that. We have the internal infrastructure to create that state of calm to reduce the stress because we have the vagus nerve that can be activated and can play a really nice role into our system. Another yogic insight is the balance of Ida and Pingala. That it was when we talk about the ancient wisdom. So pretty much, and we say something in advance, but the scientific parallel of the balance of Ida and Pingala is the sympathetic nervous system versus the parasympathetic and the balance in between those. So a healthy life is not about being calm all the time, but about flexibility, being able to activate when needed and recover efficiently. So when we are in certain situations, we need to be active, we need to react. But that reaction, that activity needs to be regulated and not forever, not for long times. We need also to be able to have a calm mode, relaxation to recover efficiently. So Ida and Pingala, sympathetic and parasympathetic balance. It's a perfect match in between ancient traditions, yogi traditions, and modern neuroscience. Then we have another insight. We can say, like, stillness leads to clarity. So basically, in the scientific perspective, it means that uh, basically reduced default mode network activity. And it is because when we reduce the internal noise, our thinking become more precise, less emotional, and less reactive. So stillness leads to clarity. Another insight, awareness reduces suffering. And from the perspective point of view, the scientific perspective, then we can say it is the increased prefrontal control over limbic system, over the amygdala. So developing awareness creates a gap in between the stimulus and the response, allowing us to have a conscious decision making instead of automatic reaction. So when we are aware, our prefrontal activity it's more active, and then we can think before react or process before reacting. That's very useful in our daily lives. Then we have Shushubna, that is the central balance in between Ida and Pingala. Basically, in scientific terms, it means the integration and regulation of our nervous system. So, the optimal state in our body is calm but alert. So, we are not shut down, but we are not overwhelmed neither. We are present and responsive. And that is the Shushumna balance. And it is when we have the nervous system integrated. Another insight that we got is pranayama as control of energy. From the perspective of the science, the modern science, breath driven modulation is the breath driven modulation of the physiological state. So you don't need external tools. You just need your breathing patterns because they are enough to regulate stress, focus, and emotional stability. So pranayama or the breath driven modulation of the physiological state is key here when we talk about meditation because it's a way to regulate our stress, our focus, our emotional stability. And dhyana as sustained awareness, as meditation, in modern science, it brings long term changes in brain networks. And here we are talking about neuroplasticity. And it's because the consistent meditation requires how you perceive reality, making you less dependent on external conditions for internal stability. So, pretty much the stability is going to come from inside, from that state of awareness. And we can cultivate that state of awareness through pranayama, controlling our breath. Because if we do that, we can integrate, we are able to integrate our nervous system and bring that balance, shushubna. And at the end, in life, we're going to reduce our suffering. We will have more clarity. We will have the option to overthink all the time. We will be sharp. That's the idea behind meditation. That's the idea behind controlling the breath to control our mind. So basically, what we did here is just um, uh, an enunciation of many important concepts from modern science, from neuroscience, and some basic concepts from ancient wisdom, from meditation, and we bring all together trying to build a bridge just to say that at the end there is a science of meditation. There is a science of meditation that has been there for from ancient times and without any scientific modern tech- techniques and instruments, the yogis before understood many, many things from their perspective that now modern science is matching as well. So this is very interesting. It's a topic that it really helped me as well when practicing meditation, because when you practice meditation and then you read about the benefits of meditation and you really understand more what is happening inside your body, inside your mind, it brings such a, it's like a booster to your practice. And then when you enrich that with ancient wisdom, ancient techniques, and you feel like your practice is 100% more rich even, and you find similarities between one and another one, is just something that can blows that just blows my mind, like make these kind of connections. It's a very beautiful experiment. And yeah, I think this is everything today from the other brother. We are starting here with this video to try to build that bridge that I think is very necessary, and talk about the science of meditation. All the best for you guys. Have a nice time and see you later.